Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins. Billy Pelser has a nice home.
Billy, is that you?
Yeah, Mom, it's me.
A nice job. A nice girl.
If you're not doing anything this Thursday night, maybe you'd like to go out on a date with me?
I'd love to.
And loving parents who are about to give him
You're gonna like this. No, don't shake it. We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
the most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it?
It's your new pet.
Come on, Barney, be a good dog. My dad gave it to me.
But there are a few things to keep in mind. If you expose it to the light, you may hurt it. If you get it wet, it will multiply.
All that from water? They got wet?
Yeah, plain water.
And most important, no matter how much they beg, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change. They become clever, mischievous,
What's going on here?
and dangerous.
Gremlins, huh? Little monsters.
Right.
Hundreds of them.
Well, I don't know, maybe thousands.
They've been here too. Billy, what are these things? Where did they come from?
Look, I know it sounds crazy, I know. But in a few hours, you're gonna have a major disaster on your hands.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
Greetings, all. We're back again.
Hello there.
I'm Gene.
This is Steph.
This is Let's View It Again. We left y'all for a couple weeks. Blame it on Steph. Why you leave people waiting, Steph? You don't have an answer for that? We apologize. But we've been living. Celebrated a birthday. In the meantime. In between time. Yeah, man. Yeah. Birthdays are very nice. So, yeah. So, we apologize. But we got a good one today, though.
Do we?
We do.
All right.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, it was
a funny rewatch.
Once again, I'm sorry. We're talking about 1984's Gremlins today.
I was going to get into it.
I know, but I always get into. I just get into it and start talking and don't get. Not really. Not for this one. Not particular. I was going to, but it's one of those that I saw as a child. I'm not seeing it since, but I misremembered maybe, or just blocked a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Or maybe it's just a lot of stuff you just wouldn't resonate with it. You know how sometimes you watch the movies like kids would not have gotten this.
That
you just watch for the funny stuff.
But even as watching as an adult, I mean, when you're not doing homework on it, you just watch for entertainment. I guess it's kind of different until you start breaking stuff down. Not that we're just deep on this show. This is not what you're tuned in for, obviously. But you know, there's always themes and stuff that you're kind of going over.
They purposely placed them there.
Yeah, they did. This was an interesting one. I'd say that. But we'll, I guess, get straight into it. You know, unless did you have anything that you want to discuss before we get into it, still? You want to talk to the people about anything? Anything new going on with you that you want to let them know about?
No, I didn't know we were doing it.
I don't either.
Just working.
Yeah, man. Like I say, I'm another year older. I'm feeling younger than ever, looking better than ever. Don't y'all agree? Anyway, let's get into 1984's Gremlins. Steph, give the people a synopsis. Did you go to IMDb this week?
I didn't.
I'm not liking this change. We had a thing set up and you just abandoned it. But go ahead, get the people a synopsis from wherever you pulled it from.
Gadget salesman is looking for a special gift for his son and finds one at a store in Chinatown. The shopkeeper is reluctant to sell this special gift, and he gives them 3 rules to follow. All of this happens, and the result is a gang of something called Gremlins, because they do not listen to the rules.
Nobody follows rules in any movie.
I kind of mashed it up.
Got it.
Yeah.
You got to mash what up?
I kind of mashed that synopsis up.
With what up?
I just didn't want to say exactly what they said, so.
Oh, so that was a freestyle?
I guess you could say off the dome. Oh, okay.
Okay. Whatever. I guess. Okay then.
But it sounded fine.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
That's fine.
See the problem? Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Facts.
Movie facts. Gremlins was released in June of 1984, going on to earn $213 million at the box office over its running time. It had an $11 million budget, so it did very, very well.
As most of these have, huh?
It seems as though, and I guess that's what lends a lot to cult classics, because I'm sure this was a huge home box office title as well.
Bombed with critics. You think?
Surprisingly, it did not.
I'm
I think
surprised.
even Siskel and Ebert gave it like 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh, okay.
So no,
It gave whatever it was. It didn't try to be something else. Maybe that's why they liked it.
We'd say that.
We'd
And
say
I
that.
think now with people going back like we're doing, they kind of give it mixed reviews. But at the time, no. From all my
Everybody loved
research, it did well with reviews and at the box office.
Spielberg.
I was going to get to that.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Everybody loves Spielberg.
The movie itself was directed by Joe Dante. He also directed Gremlins 2. Interestingly enough, Steph, Joe Dante directed a segment in the Twilight Zone movie. He directed not only a segment, my favorite segment from that movie. Do you remember that movie? Twilight Zone, the movie?
I mean, yes, but what's the segment?
My segment is It's a Good Life. This is the one with the small boy. He made his family eat peanut butter hamburgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've always wanted to taste a peanut butter hamburger since that day when I watched it.
Well, you're a big boy now.
But I feel like in my advanced age, if I eat a peanut butter hamburger, I'm going to be down for at least 3 business days trying to recover from putting peanut butter on my burger. But that is that segment. Joe Dante directed that.
Is that something that people do a lot? Like, is that a area or
Twilight Zone?
No, like, is there like a certain area of the country that does that?
I'm gonna say people in Missouri do it. It seems like a Missouri thing.
Why? Why Missouri?
Because that just seems like it. A Midwest thing. It's a Midwest swing, as Nelly would say.
Okay.
The film, it was produced by Steven Spielberg. Since you jumped the gun, Steph, it was under his Amblin Entertainment tent. The film was written by Chris Columbus. Well, I guess going back, since with Spielberg, interesting, I guess, tie-in, Spielberg also directed a portion of Twilight Zone, the movie. Did you know that?
I wouldn't have known
He
that.
did. And do you know which segment he directed?
The one with the little, what isn't like the little creature
The
on the
gremlin
plane?
on the plane with snarling at John Lithgow.
Did I know that there was a gremlin though? I remember watching
Well, it wasn't a
little.
gremlin from this movie. That movie preceded this movie, The Gremlins. But
Okay.
the whole gremlin aspect of I guess the origin of Gremlins. I'll jump ahead
Go
here.
ahead.
I had this on my fact card. But it originated in the early 20th century, and they coined it in the Royal Air Force using a portmanteau of like Goblin and Fremlin beer or something like that. That's the only thing I can see. So that's where the name came from.
Say that again. It's a what?
A portmanteau of Goblin and Fremlin beer. Gremlin. They drunk Fremlin beer, but some people think it comes from an old English word, gremian, which means to vex. Sounds right. They're very vexing. But so that was the Royal Air Force, and they kind of make mention in this movie about it being used by pilots, and this was something that they said brought down their planes was were gremlins. So I say all that to say, yes, on the movie, The Twilight Zone, on that segment, I don't know what it's called, maybe 20,000 feet in the air or something like that. Nonetheless, there's a gremlin on the wing trying to bring down the plane, and it's directed by Steven Spielberg. Okay. So you guys are welcome. That's what the show's about. It's about facts and tie-ins and just little Easter eggs here and there. Anyway, the film was written by Chris Columbus, who directed another very popular Christmas movie. I say another because this is essentially a Christmas movie. Gremlins, 1984. It takes place during Christmas season. But not Christopher Columbus. Well, I mean, maybe that's his name. Chris. It's Chris. Columbus. It's Chris Columbus. But I mean, I'm sure his name is Christopher, but he probably didn't want to be known by Christopher, the Spaniard who raped and pillaged his way through the Americas. Anyway, he went on to direct Home Alone 1 and 2. I don't know if you knew that. He also directed Miss Doubtfire. So, hey, man, Chris Columbus is pretty cool. Oh, he did Harry Potter films. I've never seen any of those, but he did like 2 of those, too.
Yeah, I remember it was big. You know, I never read the books. I've watched the movies before, but
I've done neither, so you're one step ahead of me.
I can't tell you who's who, but I can sit and watch it.
Anyway, the film was marketed mainly using the Gizmo character, the cute and cuddly one. So the audiences were kind of stunned by the violence and I guess horror aspects of this movie because it was never marketed as the Gremlins portion. It was kind of made to be like Steven Spielberg's other movie, E.T. They kind of marketed like that. So interestingly enough, this film was basically the film that prompted the change or added the PG-13 marker or the PG-13 rating for the MPAA. The MPAA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gremlins
Gremlins. Spielberg got with the MPAA, and they, because like I say, families were kind of taken aback by this stuff. It's rated PG, and then I guess he was like, well, we need something between PG and R, and let's come up with PG-13. So there you go. Also, fun fact. Do you know the voice of Gizmo, Steph?
Tell us, please.
Howie Mandel of Deal or No Deal fame, as well as Bobby's World.
Okay.
Yeah. He learned a few lines in different languages, Steph, just so he could say them when the movie was released overseas. He was really dedicated to his craft.
Right.
My last bit of fun information for this movie. A monkey was originally supposed to be used for Gizmo. But as you know, monkeys do not follow direction very well. They tried to place a mask on the monkey, I guess, just to see how he would take it. The monkey went monkey, and they said, the monkey went monkey, and they said, how about we just use puppets instead? What kind of crazy person thought they could use?
Put a mask on a monkey.
You cannot mask a monkey, man.
Put that on a t-shirt.
That is all the facts for Gremlins, directed by Mr. Joe Dante with the help of Steven Spielberg. Steph, let's get into this thing.
All right, a little bit of the cast. We have Zack Galligan as Billy Peltzer. He's a New York City native, most known for the Gremlins franchise. In 2021, apparently there was a Mountain Dew commercial with him and Gizmo making a return. And May 23rd of this year, so not too far from now, maybe 2 weeks, there is a return of the Gremlins franchise. It's called Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai. It's an animated series coming to Max, which is what HBO Max is as of now. Yeah. So it'll be Max by that time.
The most noteworthy part of their name away. They said everybody knows HBO, and they say no, we're just going to be Max.
Well, aren't they combining with Discovery, something like that? That's what I thought, but it's not important, I guess. But it's coming May 23rd.
So look out for that new. Gremlins.
And then we have Phoebe Cates Klein as Kate Behringer. She's also a New York City native. She's from a family of Broadway and TV producers, a Juilliard grad. So, I guess you could say had a leg up in getting into the industry.
I would say. Nepo baby. Ain't that what they've been saying? She
starred in Paradise. This was apparently a movie she played when she was 17. I guess it was maybe a little controversial because there were nude scenes. Her father encouraged her to do this.
What?
That's what I read. She later regretted it, but from what I read, and unless it's wrong, it was more so the fact that they use like body doubles. So it's like, you cast somebody, and I think they do that. That and they probably do those things now. They cast somebody and then they still their body isn't enough, for whatever the case might be. She went on to another, I guess maybe this is a cult classic I never saw, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She played in Drop Dead Fred. She married Kevin Kline, who starred with her in Princess Caribou. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm familiar with Kevin Kline. Once I saw the picture of him. I've seen other movies he's been in. She also starred in Father of the Bride. What was it? Steve Martin?
It is.
I remember watching that when I was young.
That was the first movie I saw in theaters, I believe.
Father of the Bride?
I think so. It was like
I
in
might have
third
to
grade.
go back and watch that.
I want to say they took us on a field trip to see Father of the Bride. Why? I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I say the first movie, I feel like they probably took us somewhere in kindergarten, huh? But I don't remember those. The first time I remember going to a movie theater. Thank you, Steve Martin.
Yeah. That's a weird movie to go see at school. But anyway, we got Corey Feldman as Pete Fontaine, actor, musician. He's known for Friday the 13th, Stand By Me, The Goonies, The Lost Boys. He's been very outspoken throughout his career about abuse of children and I guess you say adolescents in the entertainment industry. We have, I guess you could say, some honorable mentions. Jonathan Banks, who plays Deputy Brent. He plays Mike. Ermintrout, thank you, from Breaking Bad.
I saw you looking at your card.
Well, my handwriting, I must have been writing really, really fast. But you know him as Ermintrout from Breaking Bad. We have, I believe it's Key Luke, Mr. Wing in Gremlins, but he's a Chinese American. He was a founding member of the Screen Actors Guild. So
look at you with the facts.
Hey, that's what I do. That's what I do.
That's what I'm supposed to do. Stick to giving stars and stop trying to steal my thunder. Hold on, did you mention Mr. Glynn Turman? Because he's in this movie.
I mean, there were a lot of people.
Yeah, but you can't mention Ermintrout and then skip over that.
I said honorable mention, so he wasn't like a main character.
Well, he was in enough, and you will mention that Glenn Turman, a.k.a. Colonel Taylor, a.k.a. Preach from Cooler High.
He's in there, too.
Is in this movie.
He's playing a teacher, scientist.
Chemistry teacher, all that. But we'll get into the particulars in just a minute. I guess go ahead and jump into the movie. We've been talking for a long time.
Don't put we in there.
Didn't I just clean it up?
So it opens up. We have Randall Peltzer, right? He's an inventor. He goes to Chinatown trying to find a gift for his son. It opens up like almost like a murder mystery. It's very dark. He's talking over
he's
a voiceover. Yeah, he's narrating everything. And so he goes into this, I guess you say, dark alley in Chinatown trying to find a gift for his son. He discovers a man's shop. And he finds the mogwai. Did I say it right? Mogwai. Okay. He says that it's exactly what he's been looking for.
Correct.
Whatever that means, because
he was looking for a small animal.
I guess so.
That sings.
That hums.
Could you do his song?
Who?
The Mogwai song.
What's the Mogwai song? I can't do that. You know I can't do that.
What is that?
Mogwai.
What's he doing?
Singing. He does that sometimes.
Anyway.
So the man doesn't want to sell it, right? Got to have some conflict, right?
Right.
he ends up going behind the man's back, and the grandson goes behind his grandfather's back too, and he sells it. But I mean, he's an adult; he didn't have to take it when the man clearly said no.
There's no way you walk out of there without that mogwai. Let's
But
be serious.
the boy gives some rules: no light, water, and don't feed them after midnight. You know, simple rules, I think.
Sort of, kind of.
Don't you think?
On a planet that's
I mean, if you got a
75%
clock,
water, it's very hard.
but we don't live in water, so it's like you can keep the water
we don't.
away.
There's a lot of water on this planet. So this animal is on the wrong planet. It was let
He's
you
with
know.
the wrong people. That's what it is.
Or dead. So this was sent by an far superior species than us, and they sent it here to colonize this planet. That's the only thing you can take away from this.
All you needed was a bag to hold it in.
I thought it was like to smother it.
No.
Go ahead.
And a watch.
Which is
You're not getting in the water with a bag. And that's what he did. He we hadn't named him yet, but Billy, he kept him in a bag.
He did. He kept him in the Jansport the whole movie.
You keep him in a bag. You keep a watch so you know what time it is. You in the bag, no light. I'm just saying. It was
okay.
simple. Go ahead.
That was one of the rules to the bright lights that don't take him under the sun because the sun will kill him. So you only have he can only be, I guess, taken outside if he does need fresh air. With maybe I guess sunset 7:30, 8ish. But he better not get hungry in those 4 hours because you can't feed him after midnight. So these rules are very
you just feed him before 12.
Or you feed him while he's in the house. We didn't say if you had to walk him or not. They didn't. We never got.
He stays in the bag.
Around to that. Does he use a little bot? So we didn't get into all that.
They didn't. We didn't need the particulars for what was it, 90 minutes?
This movie was an hour and 47 minutes long.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yes. To do nothing. And we've been talking for 20 of it right now. Hold on. Were you finished?
Yeah.
Oh, I jumped straight in. Okay. Yeah. So he gets the rules. We got that. And we flash. Now we're going to Billy. She spoke of Billy, which is the inventor's son. He's out trying to start his car. He's having car troubles, and he's talking to his neighbor, Mr. Futterman. His neighbor, Mr. Futterman, is very adamant that everybody needs good old American craftsmanship. This is where his whole theology lies. Don't buy foreign stuff because they're trying to sneak. He didn't drop the name there, but they're trying to sneak bugs in on you and take over you. They brought down our planes in World War II. He's that person. He didn't go all the way xenophobic and say the Asians are the reason this country is like it is, but he wanted to say it. Nonetheless, but we know he was in the military and he hates foreign things of all sorts. But anyway, we get the next scene. We get Billy. He goes to his day job. He's a banker. He works with Phoebe Cates as well as Judge Reinhold, who you also didn't mention was in this movie. Judge Reinhold is his, I guess, superior, team lead, something. He works at a bank. It's not important.
A lot of people, but they weren't instrumental.
Judge Reinhold is important. He works at a bank. He took his dog to work with him. Billy is a very unserious person.
I mean, people take their dog.
Nobody brings a pet. This is 1980s. We weren't doing it back then.
Who is we?
America. While he's in the bank, his neighbor, Mrs. Deagle, shows up. And she's upset because Billy's dog has ruined her snowman decoration. I'm not talking about Young Jeezy. It's Christmas time. A real snowman. The dog did something to it. She's upset. But she's not so much upset that she wants to necessarily kill the dog. She kind of asks Billy, well, give me that dog and I'll show you what I do with him. And then she jumps straight into, I'll throw him into the dryer. So I really don't know what's Miss Deagle. It's kind of like Cruella de Vil in her whole beef with the Dalmatians. She didn't really say, well, she wanted to make a coat, I'm assuming. Isn't that what Cruella de Vil wanted to do?
That's what we'll say.
We don't really know what Miss Deagle's problem is. She wants to eat the dog or something along those lines. But nonetheless, the dog overhears this. And I do mean that because as she says, I'm going to put him in the dryer, the dog freaks out, goes crazy. I don't know. He understands English as well. But it causes a scene. Billy's boss and Judge Reinhold call him a putz and say, you're stupid for bringing this dog in here, Billy. But Mrs. Deagle leaves, but right before she leaves, she tells Billy and the dog that she will get him. Whatever. Billy leaves this whole situation, goes down to the bar, get him a drink. Phoebe Cates works at this bar. I guess she has a part-time job there as well. And then comes Judge Reinhold too. And he's being the regular pompous guy, telling Billy, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. You need to get yourself together and stop.
Get your weight up.
Get your weight up, Billy, and stop bringing your dog to work and coming down here trying to hit on this gal. She don't want you ain't got no money. And that's essentially, that's all that scene was about. It didn't have anything to do with anything.
Nothing to do with Gremlins.
But anyway, after he gets all liquored up, he heads home and starts talking to his mom. Well, he helps his mom make dinner, and they're talking about how bad of an inventor his dad is. And they say, he can't do anything right. He can't get anything right. And Billy is sensing that something's wrong with his mom, and he's probably thinking, Mom, do you hate Dad because he can't earn a living trying to be a door-to-door inventor / salesman? How is he making money? Let's jump into that.
Like Patches. We need to.
We're not gonna put Patches. That's a very sad song. Son,
sad.
I'm dependent on you. But look, we don't understand how his dad makes money. They live in a very nice 2-story home.
It's a nice neighborhood.
They have money for Christmas decorations and for swords. His dad has 2 swords on the wall. It's not important. I just thought I should mention what kind of money these people have.
Probably looted.
But his dad never goes to work. He's an inventor, and none of his inventions work. And they drive home their point. So he had enough money to buy a mogwai. Can't get them cheap, I'm sure of it.
Did they say how much?
They did not say how much he paid. It was folding money, but we don't know how much. Nonetheless, his mom says, no, I'm not sad because your dad's a loser. I'm sad because Miss Deagle called and told us about your whole dog business. Once again, this has nothing to do with mogwais, gremlins.
Nothing.
They're
just driving it home.
They're driving home that the dad is terrible and Miss Deagle wants to eat the dog. Go ahead, still.
Yeah, so Billy's father returns home with the mogwai. Finally, I guess you could say, after all of that, talking about Miss Deagle.
Yes, that was 30 minutes of nothing until we get to the. Well, it was. I think the mogwai got there about when he came home about 20 minutes in. So
enough time,
yeah.
But they name him Gizmo. Nobody really has questions. They're just like,
they do not.
This little furry creature.
What is this? Nothing.
That hums and sings
and can speak English. I guess Paris can do the same thing, and we don't really question it.
Who?
I said Paris can do that.
Parrots.
I bring this up. It seems like every episode, but go ahead.
Birds just talk.
Birds are talking, and nobody's talking about that.
But yeah, Billy doesn't listen to the rules. With Light, he has a visitor that comes. What's the guy's name?
Who?
His little visitor. Because we were like, why is this
Feldman?
Little boy? Yeah, he plays Pete Fontaine. Why is this little boy visiting this man in this attic?
We don't get that.
We don't get an explanation. I don't think.
He hangs out with a teenager.
Yeah,
but maybe Corey Feldman is just like small. Maybe he's like in 12th grade. Because Billy's, that still doesn't make sense. Because Billy's like 21.
Works at a bank.
Yeah. They said that he was like 20, 21.
Oh,
but that still doesn't mean you should hang out with high schoolers.
I don't know what their relationship was. I didn't even feel like going back to look because he isn't essential, but he does. That's like the first person outside of his mom and daddy that he shows the mogwai. He accidentally wastes water, so they already breaking all the rules.
5 minutes in, they broke 2 rules. Didn't he flash him with a camera or something?
Yeah, that's what I said. It disregarded the light rule and then accidentally wastes water and Gizmo multiplies, right?
You say that like if you hadn't seen Gremlins from 1984, that's what happens.
He multiplies. Yeah.
Explain what happens. How does he multiply?
What you mean?
Explain to the people who haven't seen the movie.
It's like little furry balls.
Exactly.
That pop out of his back.
Burst from his back. And it must be painful because Gizmo is screaming in pain.
As much as he can scream, that's so Oh no!
Great, thanks a lot. Sorry.
What's in that jar?
Nothing, just water.
Why is it making that noise?
What is it?
He's screaming and writhing in pain as small furry balls that are also alive burst from his back.
Yes.
This is an animal that should not be on this planet. I'm going to tell you again.
We don't die, we multiply.
Yes,
We are
Billy's
Billy's kids.
Yes, after the whole multiplication business. Billy tells his dad about it. And he also mentions that those animals that burst from Gizmo's back have their own personalities. And not only that, they have started to make a little tribe and they have a leader. These are all things that are concerning. If I told you that, listener and viewer, that I had an animal that I don't know what it is quite, it's like a dog, it's kind of like, I don't know, a koala, a mix between the two, but it can also talk. And if I waste water on this animal, things burst from his back and come to life. And those things that burst from his back also have a leader. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have personalities like the seven dwarves, basically is what's going on. They have a sleepy one. One has a runny nose. He's cocaine mogwai. And then his dad hears all of this. He says, you know what, son? This is brilliant. I'm glad you did that. Now, this is the solution to my money woes. We are going to sell mogwais. Every kid in America can have one. That's the level of person we're dealing with here. He's driven by capitalism and greed because his son told him he has an animal that multiplies.
Yes.
Not even sexually. Rabbits multiply sexually and they have too many rabbits at once. It overruns the population. This animal on a planet that's 80% water will multiply. How many did come? Was it 6 new ones?
I don't remember.
I think it was 6 new ones from, let's say, a half a cup of water. You do the math.
In 10 seconds.
10 seconds. And yeah, they came alive real quick. Anyway, Billy, getting no help from his dad, goes to sleep.
No guidance.
None whatsoever. Takes a nap, goes to sleep, but he's awakened by his dog howling out in pain. And he goes to see his dog hanging from the Christmas lights on the porch. His dog has been strung up. Naturally, Billy says, this must be Miss Deagle. Billy, you and your dad are both insane because how would an old lady break into your home, steal your dog nap, sort of dog nap your dog, and hang him outside? She wanted to eat it. She would not do that. We know who did it. It was those mogwai, but we didn't see him do it. I'm going to let you guys know they're very mischievous. Anyway, his dad says, don't worry about it. I'm going to take the dog by your grannies. That'll fix everything. And Billy should have said, Dad, are you insane? Because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, somebody broke in our house last night and they only took the dog and strung him from the porch. Father, you should be very, very afraid right now.
Very concerned.
You should be. Nonetheless, we skip past that, and Billy is on his way to the local high school to see Glynn Turman, a.k.a. Preach, a.k.a. Colonel Taylor. He's a scientist / chemistry teacher of some sort. We don't really get an idea who he is, but we do know he's the only black person in town. Billy gets there, he explains what happens if you waste water on this Gizmo character. But to drive home the point, he drops a droplet of water on the Gizmo. Once again,
let's prove it.
He proves it through pain and torture because, once again, this tortures the young animal. I say young, he may be old as time, far as I know. It tortures the animal as another entity bursts from his back. Yes. He did this to prove a point to Glynn Turman. Really didn't need to do it. I think an explanation would have sufficed. Whatever.
Scientific method.
Yes, he proved that hypothesis right in front of his face. Glynn Turman says, that's crazy, man. Let me keep one and run some tests on it. He says, sure. And we have to be led to believe that he did not tell Glynn Turman any of the rules. He said, you can have it. I'm out of here. Run your tests. Because we never see him on screen explaining the 3 rules that are very, very important to Glynn Turman, a.k.a. Preach. The next time we go, we skip this scene, we see Mr. Futterman again. This time he is leaving Phoebe Cates' bar. He's very, very drunk, trying to drive his plow / truck out of from the bar, and they're trying to take the keys from him. He's being a very drunk, old, racist white man and says, I'm not leaving, but let me tell you this before I jump behind this wheel. and sit here for a minute. Don't trust the Chinese because they've been putting gremlins in our devices for years. So this is the first time they mention gremlins. And he says they are little bugs or little men that the Asians put into all our devices to trick us, I'm assuming. So that's what type of time Mr. Futterman is on. But hey, gremlins. We know what they're called now.
Yes, we not much, I guess you say, happens next. You got Katie and Billy have this conversation about depression and suicide. I don't know, Kate and Billy, I don't know where that conversation came from. It seems very much thrown into the plot. It throws you off for a second. Billy goes back to disregarding the rules. He doesn't intentionally do it, but he ends up feeding the mogwai chicken after midnight. He doesn't know that the clock has stopped, so that's another thing. You got to make sure your clock actually works, right? Don't ever lose power. Always have a good battery in your watch. And the scientists.
Or use a sundial or something. Oh, I guess you need the sun out for that, huh? Disregard
you don't
my
need light. It's mogwai.
My mogwai is. Listen, this is I thought of this a while ago. I know I'm interrupting. Mogwais, we know if they were real, they would totally overrun this country. I saw everybody's response to a deadly disease that was very prevalent and nobody wanted to follow the rules. Imagine if the rules was take this cute thing but don't feed it and don't let it go outside. Time. We'd be overrun by Tuesday.
Yes.
It would happen so quick it would make your head spin. But maybe this is a cautionary tale. Follow rules, people. They're made for a reason. Not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah, but the scientist leaves the sandwich out too. He leaves, I guess, his classroom, and the sandwiches is within reach. And so the mogwai takes the sandwich and.
Yes, hey. But Billy didn't tell Glynn.
Yes, he like you said, we don't see on screen the rules being told. So yes, if you know the rules, you also have a responsibility to share. So we know that we will be taking over because people don't get the information right themselves. So they'd go and tell somebody else, or leave out part.
He didn't even tell them anything.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, if you know the rules, you got to share them too. That's the only way we survive the gremlin takeover.
Yeah. So Billy awakens to see that his little mogwai are no longer cute and fairy, but they have transformed into little disgusting green pods. He also notices that they chew through his alarm clock, through the cord anyway, to stop time. So this lets us know that these mogwai can speak English, they can sing, and they have an understanding of the concept of time. And they know that they can not be fed after 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. They know this.
They know what will happen.
Because, once again, this animal that has been brought to this planet only has one true desire, and that is to multiply and transform. But that's the hidden context right here. Because they're driven only by that, their need to transform into their final stage, which I'm getting to. These green pods. Nonetheless, Billy goes back to Glynn Turman and says, hey man, what's going on with these globs? As though Glynn Turman is an authority on mogwai. He needs to he never once went to a real scientist. He went to the science teacher. That's Billy's first problem. Well, his first problem is not following the rules. His second problem is going to talk to Glynn Turman about this. Nonetheless, he tells Billy these pods are the new stage. They're in the pupal stage. They're going through metamorphosis. So he's a pretty good teacher. He does know that. The pods start to hatch right before our eyes. Glynn Turman's the first one. The one that he got left over hatches first. Well, they're hatching back at the house, but Billy's not home. He's out doing Billy stuff. But Glynn Turman sees the things hatching. He calls Billy like, hey, man, you got to get down here to see this. They're hatching. He goes back into his classroom, and he's searching for the new thing that hatched. Because while he was gone, it hatched and disappeared. And he's talking to it as though it understands him. He says, hey, where are you, little fella? He's trying to coax him out with a Snicker bar, and it's not working because he tries to get the new thing, whatever we're going to call them. They're gremlins, but he's trying to give them a Snicker bar, and the scene flashes. And Billy shows up to find Glynn Turman dead with a needle in his butt. Not sure how the gremlins understood lethal overdoses, but nonetheless, they're very, very smart. Billy he's investigating who could have done this to my science teacher friend. I'm going to find them. As he's looking about, a little green monster hand swipes him, and and whatever it is that swipes him makes a break for it, busts through the ventilation system and disappears. And Billy's like, "Oh, what was that? I need to go to the nurse's office." And why is this school unlocked? He has free reign around the whole school. He goes to the nurse's station and gets a Band-Aid. And as he does, we get our reveal of the gremlin. He bursts from a cabinet, throws some gauze at Billy, and gets out of there. So it was kind of frightening scene when you think about it. But so we finally see the gremlins. They have transformed into the gremlins that you all know and love. They're green, mean fighting machines.
And fighting they do. So they start torturing Gizmo, the gremlins. They end up throwing him in a laundry chute. Poor little Gizmo. Billy's mother finds out that the gremlins hatched, at the house. And so there's a gremlin that turns off the lights because, they're mischievous.
They're very mischievous.
She ends up killing one. There's one that is thrown into a blender. She stabs one, and she also puts one in the microwave. So,
Mama on the killing spree.
Mama said not her house. You're not gonna take over her house.
She's using all her husband's janky inventions to murder.
They good for something.
Good for something.
Yeah.
Not for their intended purposes, but they will kill.
But they
gremlins.
work for something. So there's a gremlin in the Christmas tree that attacks Billy's mother, and Billy ends up, showing up in the nick of time. He ends up saving.
In the what?
What?
And what kind of time she showed up in?
I'm confused.
Carry on.
What was it?
I thought you said N-word.
Oh, what? Anyway, Billy saves his mother, and Stripes, we know that's the real mischievous one, the leader.
He's the leader of the tribe.
Yes, he escapes through the window. So yeah,
They let you know he the bad one. He has a mohawk.
yes,
People,
they put the
people with
mohawk.
mohawks aren't to be trusted. Talking to you,
Yes.
PD.
Was it white?
Yes, he had a stripe. It was a little
Yeah, stripe.
down.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So yeah, Billy show back up, saved his mom. He walks her down to the neighborhood doctor. This is one of the things they had in 8. It's just a doctor living in your neighborhood.
Guess
You go down and say, "Hey, doc, don't worry about how my mom got scratched across the face like that.
Just take her.
Patch her up." Yes.
She's in a hospital.
He leaves her there, goes back to the house and finds Giz in that laundry chute, and he puts him in a JanSport, and they head out into the snow. Yes, he does put him in a bag, a dry bag. So he's smart. It's too late. We've already messed up, but we're gonna stop.
Not gonna torture Gizmo anymore.
Please don't. It's all your fault, Billy, and your unwillingness to follow rules. You and your father. Actually, it's his dad's fault.
So it's generational.
Correct. And the mom is the only one who is doing anything about this gremlin problem.
He get it from his dad.
None of this. He and Gizmo trek Stripe down to the local YMCA. It's fun to stay there, Steph, if you didn't know.
Say what?
It's fun to stay.
Yes.
Yeah. But while he's there, Stripe, ever mischievous, sets off the fire alarm to lure Billy in, because as Billy tries to stop the fire alarm, Stripe bursts out and knocks Billy to the ground. Not really, because Stripe is only about 2 feet tall, but Billy is so startled because he's being a little girly man. He falls all on the floor again.
Why you gotta be girly man?
Okay, I apologize.
He's just a man.
You're right.
There's a lot going on. He's scared.
That was very sexist of me.
He's scared.
He's not being a girly man. He's being a weakling. Gender not withstanding. None of this. He falls on the ground, and Stripe slashes him across the chest with his little monster hand, and then he dives into a pool.
Monster hand.
Yeah, he just jumps into a pool, and buddy, you know what that means. If a drop can give you 6 gremlins, How much could an Olympic-sized swimming pool give you?
Unlimited water.
Many.
So yeah, it's just like they just never stopped. Did they ever stop? The why it just kept going? I'm guessing.
What do you mean?
Well, how many were in there?
Who
fell in the water?
Stripe jumped into the water to multiply himself. Once again, he's driven by the need to create more of himself.
So as long as he stayed in the pool.
I don't really know how it works.
That's what I was.
But the pool started bubbling.
Yes.
That lets
so
you know
there's
that
something
a bunch
going on.
are coming. And
something's brewing.
Yeah, but Billy ran away from all this. I mean, I would too. He goes down to the police station to try to explain this totally ridiculous story. Obviously, the police, they're not believing any of this. Ermintrout is there. As we've mentioned, he's one of the police officers. Then we see the Gremlins. They're making their way down the street to Futterman's house. This is the first place they stop. They got a score to settle with you, old racist white man. And they get there and they lure him outside by knocking out his television set, just like he said they would do. I mean, he was
in their gadgets and gadgets.
He said they get in your gadgets and gadgets, and he was right. He goes outside to try to fix the antenna, only to be surprised by Gremlins driving his plow/truck, and they murder him and his wife for no reason. But fun. But fun.
I guess fun for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about Billy going to see the police officer.
Correct.
I made a note that he sounds like Bruce Leroy in that scene.
All his mannerisms.
Yes, if you put them side by side, maybe we put them side by side.
I'll insert. Also, go watch our episode on The Last Dragon. Yes. Barry Gord is The Last Dragon. So you know who Bruce Leroy is.
Yes. So the Gremlins start terrorizing the town. They've moved from Gizmo, the home, to the whole town. We have a little cameo of Gizmo being wrapped in the American flag. I'm not sure exactly what that means, or it's just carrying on. Was it Mr. Futterman's?
That's right. Gizmo is America.
Speeches.
The Gremlins are Japan or China, somewhere in those Asian countries. Let's be clear. This whole movie is American propaganda.
They make a note to
wrap him in the
flag and call him patriotic.
And look how he was cute and cuddly and didn't do anything to cause anybody any harm. People just kept picking on him, and he had to defend himself. Sounds like America. Oh yeah, baby.
We find out that Stripes can apparently read, because he reads the Deagle sign, right?
And he can drive. He killed Mr. Futterman by running over
everything. He gets into her house. She has to use a lift, apparently, to get up and down her stairs. He rewires it, and so while she thinks she's, getting away from them using the lift, she shoots out of the window. It's really...
He put it on 11, and...
She goes out the window.
Shoots Miss Deagle out the window. She didn't do anything to anybody. She wanted to eat a dog, but she never did. So
we don't know. I guess they just made a point to show somebody that they were terrorizing, and Miss Deagle was one of the first to go.
Futterman.
Yeah. The older people.
Mm-hmm. Elder abuse.
Yeah. So the police see the Gremlins
and the black man. These are three people who dead.
The elderly,
and black
man.
You draw your own conclusions from that. What are you trying to say, Steven Spielberg?
What are you trying to say?
John Dante. What was his name? Mr. Dante. Chris Columbus. He wrote it. What are you trying to say, Christopher? Here we go. Christopher Columbus.
Maybe it's just Chris.
Christopher Columbus, the writer of Gremlins, included genocide in his Christmas movie. What can be more American? God bless America. Go ahead, Steph. Oh, is it on me now?
That was basically the end. They see the police see the Gremlins attacking Santa, and they drive away instead of helping. So
yeah.
But the Gremlins end up cutting their brake line. Mm-hmm. So the only cops, there are two in the whole town that we see. They end up flipping.
Now they have free reign over the entire town.
Yes, we haven't seen any more.
They're smart. They're taking out, the people they need to, besides Miss Deagle and I guess Mr. Futterman had to go.
He had to go?
Yeah, he had to go.
He would have warned other people.
And he had a gun on him.
Yeah, I'm sure he
No,
did.
of course he did. Anyway, the Gremlins are, in addition to killing police officers, they're down at the bar that Phoebe Cates works at. This is the most
Having a
ridiculous
time.
thing. Yes, this is solely meant as a lighthearted
Entertainment.
moment because it has nothing to do with anything. They're down there drinking. Let's get this clear. So they're not really interested in killing people. They just really want to have a good time. How does Phoebe Cates serve them? How does she even know what they want to drink? They can't. Well, they can talk.
Well, she's
in
just
broken
frozen,
English.
so she just figures it out.
But how did they get there and say we want beer?
Maybe so.
Nonetheless, they are down there having drinks, smoking cigarettes, and
Dancing.
they're flash
They
dancing, they're
have
break dancing.
clothes somehow.
They have tiny gremlin clothes that they've sewn somehow. So somebody's a seamstress. They are engineers, and they can read
Drink
and
you
write
under a table.
and speak the English language and drink you on the table and smoke cigarettes. Nonetheless, they're doing all this. They're flashing her like as if they had genitalia. This
It's a
movie is
lot
going.
going
It's going off the rails at this moment.
That's why it got PG-13.
Well, it wasn't a PG-13 before this movie. So I don't know if this one
is
was
why they
retroactive,
had
got a PG-13.
to make the extra category.
So it's a lot going on, but it's good, lighthearted fun. Nothing like there's no cursing, and none of all the violence is kind of mild.
But it may not be something you want to take your young child to if all you saw was Gizmo. You would not.
And you showed up to a
you
movie
would
theater.
not be expected
Oh, but
to
buddy,
see
we
this.
got more. So all that's happening. She's about to light one of the Gremlins' cigarette, light her cigarette as she smokes, as the Temptations say. And I guess he bags up from the light, bright light. You can't have bright light. She puts two and two together. She starts flashing Gremlins with a Polaroid camera. A very 80s thing to do. And then that kills a couple. And she's going to make a run for it. What stops her? A Gremlin with a ski mask on and a pistol. Where did he get a tiny ski mask from? Project Pat. But look, he's about to shoot, misses, boom, boom. And Billy saves the day by blowing a horn. I don't know. He just put the pistol away. Nonetheless, Billy and Kate make a run for it. They try to get in the car, but the car's not working again. Told you Billy had problems earlier, coming back to bite them. They run off to a department store. And this is where Kate goes off the rails. Because she's having a bad day, obviously. She just left the bar where she had to serve underage gremlins. That happened. And then she says, now I have more of a reason to hate Christmas. Guys, I don't know if you knew this, but Kate's dad died by falling down the chimney pretending to be Santa Claus. Broke his neck, and they found him suspended in the chimney on Christmas Day. I don't know if you knew that about Kate, Steph, but that's what happened to her dad. And she drops this right in the middle of a children's movie. And then we move on. We move on from it. It was no need. They wanted to, even Steven Spielberg wanted to take that scene out, but he just let the director, Mr. Dante, have it. He said, sure.
I didn't understand. It was so misplaced.
Tested horribly with artisans and everything, but they kept it in. It was very out of place. And I don't know whether it had to do anything. And I want to know what was wrong with her father to think that he could fit into a chimney. That's his own fault. I don't care how well intentioned. You can't. A human cannot fit into a chimney. That's why they used to send children in there. That's why. Well, that's a thing, still.
I'm just listening.
Hey, that's a story of Cinderella, basically.
She got sent down a chimney.
Mm-hmm. She used to clean chimneys. That's the original story. But yes, young boys used to be sent down chimneys to sweep them out. The name chimney sweeps. And they died horrible deaths because their little lungs could not handle soot and grime. Go ahead and wrap up the movie.
Yes, definitely
Steph.
wasn't something for kids, which we see now with, all the kids. And aside, the labor laws with the kids are coming back. Mm-hmm. So hopefully children aren't going down chimney chutes.
Not down chimneys, but they're going to be in chicken processing plants.
Was it Nebraska?
Sound
in like
about
a slaughterhouse.
I bet found? Missouri too.
Something about, was it McDonald's or something? Franchises. It's a mess, but anyway.
Hey, make America great again, right? Back to the old days.
Billy and Katie, they end up going to a theater, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are showing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the dwarfs have their own personality, just like these gremlins.
Oh, I said, did I steal your thunder when I said that earlier?
Huh?
Did I steal your thunder when I said that earlier?
I don't even remember you saying it, but
disregard.
Hey, as a second point, you know, you see that parallel or whatever. They love the movie.
They
the
did.
Gremlins. They're all
singing.
watching, waiting. Well, they got like 5 in the back trying to figure out how to make
Start
it
the
play.
projector.
But they end up getting it to play and singing along to it. So you see that.
Yeah. Hi ho, hi ho.
Yes.
What are they doing?
They're watching Snow White. And they love it. Where's the boiler room?
It's in the back of the
Billy comes up with the idea to cut a gas line, you know, to basically, blow them up, right?
Which is the plot to Inglourious Bastards.
Okay. Yeah. So the Gremlins end up seeing Billy and Kate as they were running behind the screen. And I want to say before they see them, when they came through the first time, I want to say I was like, how did they not see them, the Gremlins? But anyway, they
were distracted.
I guess so. They end up seeing them. The theater ends up blowing up. Stripes escapes because he had already left to find candy. Right? They've eaten everything, popcorn, all the
some
snacks.
jujubes.
Yes.
And some bonbons.
Yes, exactly. So he had escaped. They go to I guess you say it's a toy store, and we get an E.T. cameo. You know, you see him on the shelf. Stripes ends up attacking Billy with I guess a pitching machine. Is that what you call them?
That's what we're gonna call
That's
them.
what the balls come out. I guess if you push the button. He also gets a bow and arrow and a saw. So he really means to take out Billy, right? And meanwhile, Gizmo is trying to find a solution, right? Because he see that Billy is about to lose.
It's losing to this small.
It's
gremlin.
about to lose to Stripes. So Stripes ends up getting in a fountain. And he starts to multiply, right? He loves the water. Gizmo has found a skylight, and so he opens the skylight, and Stripes is killed. You know,
melted and disintegrated.
He's taken out. And so the officials, after all this has taken place, they end up blaming these incidents on mass hysteria. From what they don't really say. I don't recall them saying. The man from Chinatown that didn't want to sell Billy's father, I think it's Mr. Wing, didn't want to sell the mogwai to Billy's father. He ends up coming to the home. I guess he heard what was going down in that city.
I don't know how he found out.
In that town. He accuses his father of stealing Gizmo, which he did because it wasn't the boys to sell anyway.
Well, you can't enter into a contract with a minor. That's illegal.
I mean, that too.
I don't care what town you in, Chinatown or America Town.
That too, but in the end, yes, he stole. And so he takes Gizmo back and he tells him, you have done what your society has always done with nature's gifts.
And by society, he means you, America.
Yes. And I mean, that's pretty much the end. We get a warning at the end: if something's wrong in your house, turn on all the lights. There may be a gremlin in there.
Ooh, spooky.
And it just kind of goes.
That is it. That is
that
it
is
for Gremlins, people.
They give you the rules at the beginning and they give you the warning at the end. If you didn't follow the rules and something's wrong in your house, turn on the lights. There may be something in there, a gremlin in there.
Yeah, very well could be. He could be in there sewing tiny gremlin clothes to take over your town. You would just never know what they're up to.
Never know.
Once again, they were more mischievous than they were murderous. They only kill a few people.
There we know.
For the number of gremlins that were out
compared
unleashed,
to the people,
you would think it'd be a lot more death. So I mean, they were kind of subdued. But yeah, that's 1984's Gremlin, man.
Yes.
It's
Follow
much
the
different.
rules.
Follow the rules. It's much different than you remember if you hadn't seen it since you were a child.
I think we said we probably remembered the second one more. Is that
I'm
the
sure,
one with the girl
yes.
gremlin? See, I want to say I remember the second one.
I think that's much like Short Circuit, one of our other reviews.
Yeah, go check that out.
That's one of the ones that I think I remember too. The sequel versus the first one, because I do remember some of this one, but not some of the stuff.
Well, it was 84, so it was before my time.
Yeah,
when did the second one? Do you know?
The second one came out in 1990.
Okay.
So I think we were much older and willing, probably saw it more than the first one.
Definitely, I remember the girl gremlin.
Yeah, I think everybody she had the lipstick. And then Stripe, he came back, right, in the second one?
I can't remember. That would be a good rewatch.
We'll see if we go to the 90s next
We'll
next,
watch it on the list.
Did you enjoy the rewatch?
I laughed a lot. It was funny to me. Like you said, some stuff, little things just didn't remember. But it was a cool rewatch. I would watch the second one now that we talked about.
Yeah, I think I'm amped to see the second one as well.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot I don't remember there.
Yeah, me as well. But no, it was cool rewatch. I like I said, the horror aspects. I get what they were going for. Sort of like our other Christmas. We've done two. Is this our third Christmas movie this season? We did Die Hard.
They like Christmas.
We did something
in
else.
The
had
80s.
But nonetheless, this is at least our second Christmas movie, and it's not even Christmas time. Oh, we did a horror movie. What we just do? Pet Cemetery. So we're not just saying we did horror, we did Christmas. We all over the place this season. Nonetheless,
that's the 80s.
They were mashing up, the joyous time of the year with some horror, and it was lighthearted or campy horror. It wasn't anything terrifying for a grown up. A child probably would be terrified. Shame on everybody involved for not telling people what they were getting into. But
I want to go back and look at the preview now. Since you mentioned it,
I'm gonna find it and I'll put it at the beginning of this episode.
I want to see.
But yeah, that's it. That was 1984's Gremlins. We're gonna, I guess, wrap up. We've been talking for a whole long time. It's an hour or something now.
Hope you're still with us.
Yeah, they're still with us. They love us.
All right, y'all.
If you are there, like, subscribe, share, get your friends in on this fun, and let them know that we're talking about Gremlins this week. And if they say, man, we love the episode, hey, say, well, they got plenty more where that came from, folks.
And go catch our last one, Pet Cemetery, from our last one.
We don't have any rules for you to follow. You can get us wet. You can feed us after midnight.
You can watch in whatever order you like.
Watch them in order.
Whatever order you like. We don't care.
That's the one rule I got.
That's your one rule?
Yeah, don't watch them out of order. Because they only get progressively funny. I don't want you to start at the end and go back to the beginning like, I'm great on these guys. They're terrible. That guy talks too much. Anyway, that was Gremlins, 1984.
I'm y'all for tuning in.
Yes. This Let's View It Again. We'll see y'all
until next
week,
time.
I think.
Bye.